doesn't. And again, if this practice is not something that you can do due to breathing, we always start with the breath, but you can always anchor in sound, or you can always anchor in sensations in the body, which we do at the same time anyway. So you can always pay more attention to that if that works for you. Other than that, yes, welcome everyone, welcoming yourself to this moment. So maybe just noticing as you're arriving, you're here, the body's here, you can see the screen. Where's the mind in this moment? So let's just check in with that. Let's check in with where your mind might be right now. And just allowing for maybe some time to come back to this body, bringing your attention right here, right in this moment. And if you have difficulty hearing me, make sure that your volume is all the way up. I tend to speak very softly. My volume is all the way up. So if you can't hear me, just make your volume really high. Because I know I don't have I try to, but I know my voice drifts. So it's not always the same. Yeah. And so just taking a moment to fully arrive, to notice where you are. And if your eyes are still open, maybe just really looking around, seeing where you are, locating this body in space. Yeah. And then maybe just sensing what's holding you, sensing the surface that's holding you right now. Noticing. So we're going to start with this anchoring practice that I like to share with you, and it's called inner. So the idea, if your eyes are closed or if they're open, maybe just lowering the gaze, whatever works for you, but giving yourself the message that we're looking inward into our inner experience. So as an anchor, what we can use is inner, which is inhaling. So maybe just a purpose inhale to find the breath. Inhaling, noticing now, noticing this body right now, noticing your experience, and then exhaling long. So let's repeat that again. So R is for repeat, inhaling and noticing this body in contact with the surface, this body breathing right now in this moment, and exhaling long. And repeat one more time, last time. Usually practice this about 3 times, just as a settling, anchoring into the moment. So inhaling, noticing what's here now in this moment, and exhaling long. So as we do this, we take some time with the inhale to notice. Noticing our inner experience through this body that's sitting here or lying here. Well, this is something that you can always practice if there's a lot going on. The mind is distracted. If there's a lot carrying on from the moment before, remember, inner, inhale, notice. Now, exhale, long. Empty that belly, those lungs, and repeat. And as you notice in the first noticing, the first N goes for noticing tension, tightness. noticing your jaw, noticing the shoulders, allowing for some softening here as you notice. And relating to this moment as right now. This is now, this moment. And then allowing for a long exhale. So deep inhale. Attention in the now, noticing. Now, exhaling. And you can try this one more time, or if you've already acknowledged the breath, then you can just allow the breath to come to its natural rhythm right now, without changing it or modifying it, just allowing it to be what it is. And this next practice is called a breeze meditation. So I wanted to share this practice as well with you. And so just noticing for now this breath, allowing it to flow. And as you begin to notice your experience at this moment within this body, you're allowing and you're letting go of anything that doesn't belong to right now, to this moment. Anything that doesn't serve your intention to be here, to be present with yourself. And just all go fade away from your attention, drifting into the background. Beginning to settle right here, allowing your attention to just rest right here on the breath. Again, there is no much that you have to do. The body is already breathing. So just allowing for this breath to flow as it is. allowing for this breath to make contact with the body, noticing where you feel the breath, the nostrils, the upper lip, sensing this breath as if it was a gentle breeze. It could be a warm summer breeze or a cool summer breeze. Just noticing the breeziness of it as it travels into the body through the nose and out of the body, going out into the world. And perhaps as you notice your breathing, you notice that this breath is gentle and breezy, or it's got more of the quality of wind, strong, fast, deep. Whatever it might be, just like you will relate to a summer breeze or to the wind. There's nothing to do, nothing to change. In the same way, this body is breathing, doing what it needs to do right now. And you're just witnessing as you would witness a breeze coming and going. If there are any other sensations coming along with this breezy quality or wind quality of the breath, just noticing any sensations that might come. Noticing experience now in this moment. And then at the same time, just letting go of anything that's taking you away from this moment. Coming back to this breath, constant breath. If you notice any tension or any tightness in the body, any contraction happening in the body, or anything that's too overwhelming, Just a gentle reminder to come back to your breathing, to just staying right here with the breath. Just like in a hot summer day, a gentle breeze can bring much relief from heat. In the same way, when there's tension, tightness, contraction, or discomfort in the body, the breath can bring some relief sometimes. We're just shifting the attention without changing the breath, controlling or modifying it. But just noticing, allowing your attention to rest right here. And if at any moment you notice that the mind is very distracted or overwhelmed by anything else, you can always come back to anchoring with inner inhale. Notice now. Exhale long. Repeat until you're ready to come back to just being here with this breath. Catching your breath, catching this breeze, riding the wind. And just like you would let a summer breeze be whatever it is, come in, experiencing it, noticing it. In the same way, noticing its breath, noticing its quality, its warmth, its coolness. You might notice that it's warm on the way in. Sorry, you might notice that it's a bit cooler on the way in. And that sometimes a bit warmer on the way out. As after it leaves the body, comes out with a different quality. So just noticing if that is here for you. And if not, that's okay too. There's no right or wrong. If you're here and you're noticing and you're paying attention, you're doing this perfectly. And sometimes you might notice how it moves quickly. And sometimes it's just resting, has a restful quality, moving really slow. And sometimes too slow almost, that takes the body to a sleepy pace. So if you're noticing sleepiness, tiredness, perhaps you're just tired. But if your intention is to stay present, you can always shift your pose. You can always open the eyes if they're closed. Keeping your intention of being here, of being present, alive. And so whether the breath is soft and gentle as a summer breeze, or fast and powerful as the wind, just sitting with it, noticing it, knowing that ultimately it is always nourishing, no matter how it's flowing. So for the last few moments of this practice, just having the intention to stay right here, in this moment, with this breath, the fleeting breath that goes unnoticed so many times, the nourishing breath that keeps you alive. The poet Rumi, in his poem called Silence, says, "This silence, this moment, every moment, if it's genuinely inside you, brings what you need. There's nothing to believe Only when I stopped believing in myself did I come into this beauty. Sit quietly and listen for a voice that will say, be more silent. Be quiet. Quietness is the surest thing, the surest sign that you've died to all that takes you from here. Your whole life was a frantic running from silence. Move outside the tangle of fear thinking. Live in silence. Whenever you're ready, at your own pace, just bringing your attention to this body. Again, the feet, if they're on the ground, perhaps just wiggling the toes, allowing for a little bit of energy to come back into the body, for the body to move. But seeing if you can tune in to what the body needs, even if your eyes are still closed, just keeping them closed. If they're open, then just lowering the gaze and tuning in to what the body wants in this moment. How does it want to move? What does it want to do? And just allowing the body to guide. And for you, this movement might come as a little dance or as a stretch, whatever it is. Just here in this moment with this body. Noticing what he needs from you. And attending to it as if it was a young child looking for that much needed attention, much needed love. And attention is the way that we give love to this body. Noticing, being here with it. And whenever you're ready, at your own pace, you can allow the eyes to open whenever is the right time. So just allowing for your own experience to show when is the right time for you to open your eyes. And if they're already open, that's okay too. Just allowing the eyes to be open. So maybe just taking a moment to tune into this sense of gratitude towards yourself for being here for this practice, for setting the time. And I am deeply gratitude to all of you for being here as well, practicing in this way. So there's a line in the poem, in Rumi's poem, that really caught my attention. which says, move outside the tangle of fear thinking. And it reminded me of last week, I spoke a little bit about this client, I think I called it a friend of mine because that's what happens when I work with people for a while. But she was sharing this experience with decluttering. So, some of us, English is our second language. It took me a while to know what that word was, but decluttering means getting rid of stuff or letting go of things that are no longer necessary. And in that experience, another thing that she mentioned later on was that as she did this process, which seems as a very fairly harmless process, almost something we can do without much thought. But I think her intention had been to really pay attention to the process itself, all this accumulation that she had and what it meant to her. But when she was decluttering, she noticed that there was a lot of fear rising up, fear that showed up in many ways in her life, fear that wasn't just in that moment. And it seemed to not make any sense. Fear of letting go of one item or one thing, fear of what might happen, fear of the what ifs. The what if I need it? What if I don't have it again? What if I can't buy it again? What if? What if the weather changes tomorrow? What if I get cold? What if I get too hot? Maybe I'll hold on to this. There were so many what ifs. There was so much fear attached to that when she processed that. That wasn't just a particular thing with the items that she was holding or holding on to, but it was a fear that was just a mind habit that she had acquired very young, very early in life. So this fear seems to manifest in life in many ways, right? And so in this line, move outside the tangle of fear thinking again, right? With our practice, with our mindfulness practice, we learn to notice our thoughts. We'll learn to separate from our thoughts, to notice that that's just experience of the mind, right? And the more we practice, the more aware we become to noticing this thinking mind. And so perhaps if there's anything that I can share with you today and leave you with, it will be to notice in your regular life when these thoughts come in. It's sometimes so hard to spot, right? If we go about life and we don't realize how much of this what ifs are showing up. And so this brings us to the attitudinal foundation of trust, patience, letting be. So we're not pushing what we're feeling, we're not pushing it away. So with this breath practice that we did today, it's a practice that sometimes could be invited in moments like this. When we pause, when we notice these thoughts, right? The what ifs, or I was working with this other client, and I think he was going through the process again of just clearing things out in his life and moving on, and things that he had held on for a long time, even after his wife had passed. He's just an older person, and he noticed that he had all this little glass um, fabrics, that come in when you clean your glasses. They come in with a little fabric you can clean with, and every time you buy, I guess, a pair of glasses, it comes with this little fabric. Well, in this process, he noticed that he had so many of these things. Boxes, little boxes of little boxes of little boxes, just in case. And when he was clearing out his wallet, he found that he had like 3 of them folded, very tiny, very little, have folded them in there just in case. The just in case again kept coming up for him in his life. just in case I need it, just in case this happens, just in case I'm somewhere and my glasses are dirty. It seems almost funny, even if we think about it. And as he was telling me, he was just laughing about it. It's like, what if my glasses get dirty? I need the little. But there's all these things that we pay attention to our life, they have bigger meanings. There's always something underlying that we can pay attention to. There's always these things, these habits show up in the now, in this moment, to teach us about something that might be holding us back, that maybe we're not letting go. And so, again, the idea to just pay attention to your day, to the little things, the little habits that seem so harmless and sometimes come about. And I'm not saying like, you know, put yourself under a microscope and see everything. There's no judgment, again, right? We're just noticing these things and choosing. Again, discernment. Is this something that really helped me sometime? Maybe it does help me to keep these things, right? Maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it's not serving me. Maybe it's creating habits of me always thinking that I should hold on to things or I should hold on to certain unnecessary things just in case. It's not letting me trust. How can I trust in this moment? Again, the attitudinal foundation of trust. How can I trust, right? And trust could be very difficult because it's not as tangible. And so for just 1 minute before we transition, I'd like to invite you to tune into yourself just for a minute, just for a second, and remind yourself in this moment, was there a time in your life when you actually trusted? And it doesn't have to be anything big. We already trust so many things in our day. But is there a time in your life where you felt like, I can trust this moment? And it went well, right? A positive time that you can maybe bring to mind. And if nothing comes up, just remember that you trust that you can hear. You trust that you can see when you open your eyes. You trust that you can speak, that you can digest your food. All these things are already there. So if anything, maybe just that, noticing how that feels when there's no worry, there's no what if, right? Just noticing. What does it really feel when you trust? What does it feel like for you? How is the body when you're trusting? Do you move with more ease? Is there anything else that you might feel when you're trusting? And again, if nothing came to mind as a trust event, just notice that you're trusting right now that you can hear me. Notice what it feels like to be able to trust this in this moment. And in this moment, when you're trusting that you can hear me, what is the world like for you? What does the world become when you trust? What is it like? How is the breath when you trust? Just noticing, coming back here again and again. when trust is not here, coming back to what is it that I can trust in this moment? The surface that I'm sitting on is holding me. I can breathe. What is the world like when you're trusting? What does it feel like? So if your eyes are closed, just allowing them to open, taking in a deeper than normal breath. Again, inner. Noticing. Now, exhale. And repeat that one more time. Inhale. Notice. Now, exhale. And then just allowing the eyes to gently open if they're closed. I'd like to invite you to just remember what it feels like when you trust. This is something that came up from that session with this person, and he realized that he trusts a lot more than he thought, just daily. He had a pacemaker installed a few months back, and he said, every time I eat, I trust that I can eat. And every time I go to sleep, I trust that I'm going to wake up, and I have a pacemaker. I already trust so much. And that's the thing, right? That there is some things that we already trust that we can hold on to, that we can allow for that sense, what it feels like to trust. That's more than anything intellectual of what trust might be. Really sensing the small little moments in which trust is present. So that's all I like to leave you with. I'd love to leave some space to see if there's any thoughts about that, any shared wisdom that you might want to share with us. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for practicing and for listening, for your kind attention.